SNAP benefits brace for federal funding cuts. Lawmakers in Illinois push for a long list of new taxes they say will help working families by forcing the wealthy to pay their fair share. Tonight we get to the point.
From Chicago's very own, with WGN political editor Tahman Bradley, this is The Point.
Good evening. Glad you're with us on a Thursday night. Local leaders continue to discuss next steps as people who rely on SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, adjust to changes in federal law. President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill cut 20% of SNAP and placed work reporting requirements on recipients. The work requirements apply to most people between the ages of 19 and 64 who do not have dependents younger than 14 years old. People in that category must work or volunteer a minimum of 80 hours per month. Some people are eligible for an exemption. They were encouraged to apply by May 1st. SNAP recipients who receive 3 warnings over a 3-month period risk losing their benefits long term. SNAP was the main topic today at City Club.
Not only is what is happening to SNAP going to have this extraordinarily painful impact on individuals who face hunger, to be clear, it's also going to have a painful impact on grocery stores, on food companies, on farmers. Those SNAP dollars got spent in stores. Those stores hired people from the community to work in those stores. They put food on the shelves that were grown by people in this country. All of that has been wiped out. We have just seen a series of actions by Congress and the White House that will dismantle this program forever. And there is no plan B.
Data show 1 in 8 Americans depend on SNAP to buy groceries. The average monthly benefit, a little over $6 a day. The Trump administration has long sought to shrink the nation's safety net, alleging widespread misuse of the programs.
We've got 355,000 people on SNAP benefits receiving double benefits. That we've got 186,000 dead people getting SNAP benefits. 186,000 dead Americans getting food stamps right now. Now, I know the fake news media is going to say that the big headline from this speech is J.D. Vance proposes that we take away food stamps. That's what they're going to say. I actually think that we should take food stamps away from dead people. I'm guilty of that. I think that's a reasonable thing.
The USDA says SNAP recipient fraud occurs infrequently. Still, Vice President Vance is leading a task force focused on eliminating fraud from federal benefits. President Trump wants him to focus on blue states like Illinois. As the impact of federal funding cuts starts to take hold, a group of progressive Democrats at the Illinois Statehouse are pushing for a list of new taxes on businesses and billionaires to shore up finances. Among the plans, a 10% tax on digital advertising revenue over $150 million. Another proposal would separate Illinois from the federal tax code in an effort to capture more money from corporations. Another bill aims to hike the state's corporate income tax. That could go up to 7.92%. And lawmakers are reviving efforts to tax both gains and losses from billionaires. The proposals have become popular talking points among progressive lawmakers in Springfield and Chicago, but similar plans have failed to get through the legislature in previous years. Republicans argue the new taxes will hurt businesses more than they will help residents.
We have record revenue in the state of Illinois. Let me tell you this year, record revenue, the most the state has ever collected. We have increased the budget in the last 7 years by 40%. No household in the state of Illinois has increased their spending by that amount. Yet the state of Illinois has. And yet here we are again, tax, tax, tax.
Democratic State Representative Lindsey LaPointe is co-chair of the Affordability and Tax Justice Coalition. Welcome to The Point.
Thank you.
You formed your group last winter. Why did you come together? What's the mission, and how are you going to help people?
Thank you. Well, we came together and we are a group of Democrats in both the House and the Senate, and we are from the diverse corners of Illinois. We are also not all progressives. Some of us are more center, but we came together because we think that Illinois' tax system is fundamentally unfair. And we recognize that the cost of living is choking families. We recognize, and we're living out, that states, including Illinois, are being attacked by the federal government. And we know we have to change things. So we are working on a suite of sustainable revenue options that will get the government that we all need and deserve here in Illinois. So that is what we are focused on.
Yeah, you mentioned the cost for folks out there. Let's talk about the gas tax. The average cost of a regular gas in Illinois is $4.99. Illinoisans pay more than the national average in taxes for gas. Is it time to suspend the gas tax?
Well, we're looking at a variety of things that would reduce the cost of living because we're all hurting. But the way we get there is by looking at our tax system, recognizing that it is fundamentally unfair. And in fact, Illinois has one of the most unfair tax systems in the entire country. And what that means is the people and the industries who are the wealthiest are paying a smaller percentage of their income or their profits into our tax base. So of course, we want to lower the cost of living in a variety of ways, but until we transform our tax system to bring in the revenue we need at a time where Trump is freezing funding and rescinding funding, we're going to be challenged to reduce that cost of living.
There are some people troubled by your cause. Billionaire Ken Griffin just spoke at a conference for the global financial elite, and he unloaded. He went after Governor Pritzker. He praised Rahm Emanuel. Take a listen.
Are these states trying to push away from their populations those who really do believe in the merits of capitalism, the merits of a free society, the importance of education? What did it feel like in Chicago with J.B. Pritzker as governor? It felt like being a salmon swimming upstream to die.
What's your reaction to that?
Well, my reaction to that is due to the actions of this federal government and what we have seen in the big, beautiful bill and the budget that came out over the summer is that the wealthiest people and the wealthiest corporations are actually getting tax breaks from the federal government at the same time that federal actions are blowing a hole in state budgets around the country, including Illinois, at a time when Medicaid is going to be taken away, and that's healthcare for low-income people and families, and SNAP is going to be taken away from 120,000 people in the near future. So the wealthy are getting tax breaks. We already have an unfair tax system in Illinois, so we have to do that bigger picture structural work to make sure we can survive the onslaught of funding freezes and ripping away healthcare and food assistance from our families, including the people that I represent.
Mayors from around the state were in Springfield yesterday pushing back against reductions to local government funding in the proposed budget. Springfield is making it harder on local governments right now. Do you think that that's the case? Do you think that they're right about that it's now harder because there's less dollars flowing from the state?
I think that state budgets all around the country are feeling the squeeze right now due to federal actions. And Chicago is also an example. Our population center and economic driver. We have other medium-sized cities in Illinois, and we like it when local government leaders come and engage with us, tell us what you need, and help us fix this unfair tax system. Because the more that the state can help local governments, the more that helps reduce property tax pressure and help with the cost of living.
Got about a minute left. Which of your proposals do you think you can get across the finish line by the end of the month?
Well, we are hopeful to do the work by the end of the month and beyond. This digital ad tax is very compelling. Many agree that big tech, not only have they been taking our data, they have been running digital ads left and right, and they pay no taxes on them. So that's a promising proposal. There's another promising proposal to close luxury loopholes because people that earn over $1 million are able to take deductions, exemptions, allowances, reduce their taxable income, and not pay their fair share. So we're hopeful about those and some other proposals.
Rep. Lindsey LaPointe, working late tonight in Springfield. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Tahman.
All right, we are back in 60 seconds. While lawmakers in the Senate hammer out the final details of the mega projects bill, there's another team hoping to leverage the current stadium debate to their benefit. Cranes reports the Chicago Stars are looking for a permanent home that could be built on Goose Island on the city's north side. The Stars president tells Cranes the team wants to correct what they see as a lack of equal investment in women's sports across the state. But all parties involved stress a formal plan has not yet been released. Tonight, we tip our hat to the Atlantic's Sarah Fitzpatrick and the FBI Director Kash Patel. Fitzpatrick writes about Patel's personalized collection of Woodford Reserve bourbon engraved with his name, title, and the FBI shield. We're not commenting on what the Atlantic has written about Patel, only that personalization can be cool. And that is the point. I'm Tahman Bradley. Micah's back with more news tonight at 9. Don't forget about the forecasters up next on WGN+. Good night.